We do not want training. We want that they obey court orders. And it's quite clear that that is not what they want to do. So any further trainings, taking them out of the country, will not help this nation. What we need to see is people being held accountable. So these are just one of the three that the Law Society continues to count, the numbers that are missing. Petitions have been raised. The Law Society, when we issued our statement last week, we also included on Friday the list of all those who are still missing to date.
Lastly, I think it is now public knowledge that the Inspector General was meeting with the Cabinet Secretary for Interior less than 2 hours ago. The distance between Harambee House and the High Court is less than 15 kilometers. It would take essentially about 6 minutes in regular traffic for the Inspector General to be here. So we hope that on Thursday he does respect the court and he also appears with us in the court to explain the circumstances of the three, but also to respond to the charges that he is in contempt of court.
So good evening. Today the Law Society, alongside a number of petitioners and their family members, attended court before Honorable Justice Mugambi. We had previously appeared before him this morning with regards to the abduction of the two Longton brothers as well as Bob Njagi. And the court has been able to, there's a lot of abuse of court orders and refusal to adhere to the directions of the court had been issued, because the court had given orders that the Inspector General of Police to appear personally in court and explain why the three have not been produced in court. And the court has given directions that we appear Thursday physically in court at 10 a.m. and that the Inspector General is being given a further last chance to attend court before the court can determine whether to issue orders for contempt of court. And today it's quite a law enforcement agencies abusing the rights of Kenyans. This is not the country that we want. This is not the country that we want to live in. That we have to beg the courts to hold individuals accountable for us to be able to see some semblance of justice. What is happening today is another injustice, because the families of the Longton brothers, the wife was here in court and heavily pregnant. The family members of the two are also here in court. The family of Bob Njagi could not even attend because of the kind of anguish that they have been going through, only to come to court for another disappointment. The courts of law should be the sacred home that protects members of the public, that protects the Constitution. And yet we continue to see this National Police Service continuing to abuse court orders. We do not want training. We want that they obey court orders. And it's quite clear that that is not what they want to do. So any further trainings, taking them out of the country, will not help this nation. What we need to see is people being held accountable. So these are just one of the three that the Law Society continues to count, the numbers that are missing. Petitions have been raised. The Law Society, when we issued our statement last week, we also included on Friday the list of all those who are still missing to date. And so these games that we continue to see, and I dare say it's also quite unfortunate that we now see that the Nairobi County Council wants to dispose of the bodies that are at the city mortuary before identification, because we never know if these are part of the bodies that may end up being disposed. And so as the Law Society, we are urging the courts to remember that they must protect the people of Kenya, and that we urge that these court orders are obeyed, and that we hope that on Thursday the Inspector General of Police will be coming to produce the two brothers and Bob Njagi before this honorable court. Let us stop the body count. Every single life matters. We are all Kenyans, we're all equal before the Constitution, we're equal before the law. Let us protect every life. Thank you.
My name is Irungo Houghton. I'm the Executive Director of Amnesty International Kenya. I want to just start by thanking the Law Society of Kenya for extending its mandate to the protection of human rights. They have risen time and time again on different matters that have arisen from the protests that have taken place, led by the President. I think we have to recognize that the habeas corpus application, which is a 17th century application, it's not a recent tool, it has been around for several hundred years, is probably one of the most serious applications that any lawyer can make, because what essentially it is saying to the state that the state must produce the body of people who have disappeared, suspected to have disappeared under their watch or with their involvement. It is now close to 15 days since the two brothers, Jamil Longton and Aslam Longton, and also Bob Jage, have disappeared. 15 days in a republic that boasts of having a functional law enforcement agency, a judiciary, an investigative capacity that is able to track all 56 million of its citizens. And I think we have to demand, first and foremost, that the three men are produced back to their families, and if there are cases against them, that they are brought to court like our Constitution demands. I think we also have to demand that the Inspector General is respectful of the court and that he does appear on Thursday. If I can quote the judge that just spoke, he said, "Those that violate our Constitution must suffer the consequences. The court must be respected and the authority of the court must be asserted." And therefore, we have an expectation that come 2 days from now, the Inspector General will be with us in court to explain the whereabouts of the three, the Kitengela three. They are not people who are not known to the police service. Both of them, at least two of them, have routinely requested or notified police officers when they wanted to hold protests. They are not unknown persons to the Kitengela police. And we also need to remind the nation that on the 28th of October, there was a newspaper report that quoted a detective that said, "We have arrested Bob Jage." And I think that is a really important clue in terms of indicating that these people have not just disappeared, but we suspect that they are in the custody of the National Police Service. Lastly, I think it is now public knowledge that the Inspector General was meeting with the Cabinet Secretary for Interior less than 2 hours ago. The distance between Harambee House and the High Court is less than 15 kilometers. It would take essentially about 6 minutes in regular traffic for the Inspector General to be here. So we hope that on Thursday he does respect the court and he also appears with us in the court to explain the circumstances of the three, but also to respond to the charges that he is in contempt of court. Thank you very much.